Hi, and welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me and everyone in the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community. Every week, every Wednesday, I go live in my Facebook group and we record our podcast. So that is what you are hearing right now. So if you are listening on the podcast and you are not a member of the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, holy moly, what are you waiting for? You need to come. You need to become a member. Amazing, amazing community of like minded women and a couple of women guys who are really looking to manage their emotional eating and lose weight and really more so get in touch with who they are, understand who they are, and understand how that is the main part of managing emotional eating and losing weight. Is it's not about food, it's not about dieting, it's about you and how you feel about yourself, and and really how that impacts the choices and the decisions that you make on a moment to moment basis. And it's those moment to moment, times in our lives, all those things get us to where either we want to be or where we don't want to be. And I want to help you get to where you want to be. So if you are not a member of the Facebook group, please come and join us. It's www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. Or you can just go into Facebook, search for groups, and put in breakthrough emotional eating, and you will find us. So again, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. For all of my peeps who are in the group right now, thank you so much for being here. Am I recording? Yes, Grandma, I am recording. You are so cute because she knows ordinarily when we do coaching calls in the Breakthrough membership, we get halfway through and I have forgotten to push the record button. So, yes, we are recording. Thank you. As only a mom can tell you that kind of stuff. Love you, Grandma. Um, so, what are we talking about today? I have built this up and I have and I really mean when I say that this could be the missing piece for you. I, I am I'm not kidding when I say that. I was this past weekend. I was at my parents' house. I was at their lake, and I was sitting out by the lake. I was reading a book that I will tell you all about, and I, I was reading this and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is literally mind blowing. And this is what everyone in my group, everyone in the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, everyone in my Breakthrough membership group, everyone needs to hear and everyone needs to dig deep into this. And because this is, I personally believe that this is what will make the difference of you managing emotional eating, of you losing weight, and of you keeping it off. That is the key. I think every person in this group can own that they have lost weight in the past. So what I'm going to do right now is for those people in the group who are listening and watching, I want you to estimate. Ooh, this is going to be good. A little math here. Estimate how much weight you have lost. I only want you to just tell us how much weight you have lost over the course of your life. How much weight have you lost over the course of your life? So think about it and think about it and just put a number in the comments, because everyone in this group, because I talk to you all the time. Everyone has lost weight, but we all can lose weight, but why can't we keep it off? What is that secret sauce of the habits that we need to have that is going to just take us just over the edge to be able to make that weight loss happen and keep it at sustainable. All right, our numbers here. We're coming back with some numbers. We have 50, we have 80, we have 200, we have 200, and these are numbers of people who are just saying how much weight they've lost over the course of their life, how much they've lost. 150, 100. So we have a lot of people who have lost weight. And but the challenge is, and it really is the thing I think that scares most people and gives people the most anxiety is, and I see this in the group all the time, is I've lost weight. Oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I keep it off? Like, what do I do? What, like, now I'm afraid. And then we live our lives in fear of what's going to happen. How am I going to how am I, what, am I ever going to keep this off? And because there's just that repeated pattern of lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back. And then you start to feel like, well, this is futile. Why am I doing this? It's just going to happen again. So I'm not all about that. Like I'm about like let's do some stuff that's going to really change you. And it is not, I'm going to tell you right here from the beginning, and anybody who's been in this group, and if you are listening and you've listened to any of my podcasts, you know, I am not going to tell you some food that you need to eat. I'm not going to tell you some food you need to stay away from, or some supplement or some pill that you need to do. There's no magic here. There is no magic at all, but we're going to get to what the really important thing is that you need to be doing. Okay. So, on the podcast, there are three things that you're going to learn. First off, you're going to learn the three common food issues that people have and what they are and why they are occurring. So, three food issues and why they're occurring. Then I'm going to fill you in on the one thing that is keeping people from being able to change their relationship with food and also address their food issues. So change their relationship with food and address their issues with food. And then finally, I'm going to fill you in on the two-step process that will help you redefine your relationship with yourself and with food. And that's probably the most important thing, is that you redefine your relationship with yourself. All right. So, number one, we're going to talk about those three most common. And this is, when I say three most common, this is what because I talk to you all, I see, I read posts, I see what people are saying in the group, I see what people are talking about in the membership site. And we, there are pretty common themes that I'm recognizing. So the first one is one of the first three are, and it's not an exhaustive list, I'm just going three, is that my there's so much of an issue with with mindless eating when you're bored, when you're sad, when you're lonely, when you're angry. I think I've heard a lot recently about people being really angry and then all of a sudden realizing, like, somebody looks at them sideways, they internalize it, they get upset, and then all of a sudden there's a sleeve of, Oreo cookies that are gone. Like not just two, there's like a sleeve of Oreos gone. And so it's that my emotions just get out of control. And then I don't even know, I'm not even aware, but all of a sudden I've eaten, I've eaten things that I shouldn't be eating, that I didn't intend on eating. So that's number one. Second one, and this, I really want to say that this food issue is more of a thought issue than anything else. And that is, people feel like, oh my gosh, I just love food so much and I want to stay away from it. Okay, I'm going to stop that. I think the issue is that you love food and you don't know how to have it have an appropriate place in your life. That it has become, you don't know how to, in a controlled way, enjoy those foods. So loving food is not a wrong, that's not bad. They say if loving something is wrong, I don't want to be right. Well, we do want to be right, but we want to we want to have food in the right perspective. Loving food is not bad. I love food. I love food, but food has a very different place in my life than it had 3.5 years ago. Totally different. Totally different. And so it's not the whole idea that you can't love food. It's that people need to understand how to how to have that relationship with food, how to have it. Uh, food is not a blanket. It's not your teddy bear. It's not your thing, it's not sucking your thumb. It's not comfort. And that's what we need to move away from. So that's where that's a huge disconnect. And so that's a really major food issue. And then the last food issue, and you may feel like this is not a food issue, but oh, I'm telling you, it is a food issue. And that is people not valuing themselves and putting every other person's needs ahead of their own. And then they wonder, why? Why do I get home and late at night when everyone goes to bed, I get up and I have my peanut butter and jelly sandwich with, 1/4 inch slabs of butter. If you don't have peanut butter and jelly with peanut butter and jelly with butter on your sandwich, you're missing out. Um, and you can ask me about that later. But that's huge. If you are putting everyone else first, that is a major issue. If you are not valuing yourself, if you're not taking time for yourself and everyone else's needs come ahead of yours, that is a food issue. That is a food issue because how it then impacts you. So again, I'm going to the breakthrough group. We have top three of these. We have three of the most common food issues. The one is mindless eating. The second one is loving food. The third is not valuing yourself. And I'm going to tell you, and I want you to follow my instructions because remember, y'all, I was a teacher. You can only pick one mindless eating, which is your issue, one, your biggest issue, one mindless eating, two, loving food and not knowing how to control yourself around it, and three, not valuing yourself. Okay. Put those in the comments and you can only pick one. All right. So, and if you're listening on the podcast, I want you to think about that. Which one of these is really your thing? What is it that is really, do you feel is really holding you up? Okay. So all three of these things are habits. They're all habits. They're things that we've done over time. We've done over time. And the whole thing is that we can change these. We can absolutely change. These are habits. They're 100% habits. Oh, we got stuff flying in right now. I'm sorry, I get distracted by the comments. We have things flying in right now. We have not valuing yourself, not valuing yourself. One, number one, mindless eating, not valuing yourself. Awesome. 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 Because again, that first step is recognizing where do I need, and you'll see the relevance of this as we move through the podcast. So really, really want you to think about that. Okay. So give yourself some time to think about that. But again, these three things are habits, and habits are just things that we've done over time, over and over and over and over again. And so our brain thinks that that's the right way to be because it's a habit. So it's like driving a car. If you drive a car, you get into it, it becomes a habit. You don't even think about it anymore. And your brain just automatically does it. Well, unfortunately, for many of us, we're developing these habits that are not serving us. But our brain, because we've done them so long and so many times, our brain thinks, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's just how we do things. So we can absolutely change these things, but I'm going to tell you that most people are doing it in the wrong way. So all three of those things are, and we're going to get to that, what those three ways are. The most people are doing them in the wrong way, but all three of those things are very like tactical. They're kind of like the meat and potatoes, kind of tactical things. But what I really feel is the biggest food issue that we have is that, and I include myself in this 150%, I include myself in this, is that what we do and how we are is how we define ourselves. So we see ourselves, if we are a person who it's all comes down to our identity and how we identify ourselves. And so if we are looking at ourselves as, well, I'm just somebody who always takes care of everybody else, I'm just somebody who does that. If that's how you identify and you try to change that, but you don't try to change the identity, you just try to change the habits that go along with it, the identity is always going to win. You're always going to go back to that person who mindlessly eats, who doesn't value themselves, who just loves food. And so we really have to look at your identity and who you are as a person. So if we backtrack, we go back to Sunday, and I posted in the group about my question in the group. For those of you who've on the podcast, you didn't see this in the group, but I posted a question about raise your hand if you identify yourself as a fat person. And I had over 220 comments of people saying, yes, I do. I had some people identify and not identify, but comment and say, how could you be so mean to say something like that? That was not intended to be mean. I think all of you know, if you've been in my group, you know, that is not who I am. It's not why I'm here. But what I needed, every single one of you, and I needed it for myself too. I needed everybody to own. We all, and myself included, have at one point or another told ourselves we were fat, told ourselves we were, and fat is probably a nice word that we've used. We've probably used really, really unkind, cruel words to describe ourselves, words we would never use with somebody else. If you say it one time to yourself, and that's going to be there, and you say it over and over, and I cannot even tell you how many times I have used and said that about myself. And I think I've been honest with you all that I I have been heavier than I am now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There were times that I was the same size I am now, and I would berate myself and use that word all the time. So if I keep telling myself that, and that's what my identity is, I'm trying to change my habits, that's not going to work because I'm going to be calling up what I always call it, it's like a slope that is greased in oil. You're going to go up and you're going to come right back down. And that's what's happened in the way of losing weight and then gaining it back. Is if we don't change who we are at our core, we're gonna keep sliding down. So you have to, again, we have to, as a group, we have to really not just watch what we say, because I've talked about that so much, about we have to watch the words that we say, we watch how we talk about ourselves, the words that we use, because that becomes ingrained. And it does. All of these things go together. The words that we say about ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, but really what we believe is, and believe in our hearts about ourselves, that's what's really important. So I am going to take you now and I'm going to talk to you about what that can look like. How do we move away from that? So I am not ever going to pretend that I am brilliant. Never. But I find those people who are brilliant and I use them as resources. So I found a book, and actually it's a book I've known about for literally like before the pandemic, like probably 6 months before the pandemic. I'm going to hold it up for you. It's called Atomic Habits, and the author is James Clear. It is a New York Times best-selling book. Okay, again, Atomic Habits. And in this book, he talks about this particular thing. And what he talks about is he said, and I'm going to read his words because they are so brilliant. Um, so he says, many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. In our case, weight loss. This leads us to outcome based habits. The alternative is to build identity based habits. With this approach, we start focusing, listen to this, we start by focusing on who we wish to become, not what we want to achieve, but who we wish to become at our core. Kathy Perez, thank you for being here. And yes, darn good book. Thank you, Alex Povey. No, I knew about it before, but he reminded me of it. So who we wish to become. So we need to not start with what's my goal? How much weight do I want to lose? We want to start with who do I want to become? So the most of the time we're going to think, I want to be skinny. That's the outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I'll be skinny. That's the process. That's how we get there. So you set goals and you determine the actions that you should take to achieve those goals without considering the beliefs that drive your actions. And we know in this group, our thoughts cause our feelings and our feelings drive our actions. If we have thoughts about ourselves like I'm fat, that is not going to drive us to doing actions that are going to serve us. You never shift the way you look at yourself, and you don't realize that your old identity is sabotaging your new plans for change. Okay, I'm going to read that one more time. You never shift the way you look at yourself, and you don't realize that your old identity, the one with you, and your old identity or your identity as you're listening to this podcast right now, is going to sabotage your plans to change. Okay, that is huge. That is what we're really talking about. We're talking about identity change. So, true behavior change is identity change. We don't try to change the behaviors first, we try to change our identity first. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with that with one is that it becomes part of your identity. It has to become a part of who you are. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice. But if you don't shift the belief behind that behavior, then it's going to be hard to stick with long term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become a part of who you are. Every single one of us needs to become the person that we want to be that loses all of their weight and keeps it off. So here's some examples. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. And our goal is not to lose weight, but the goal is to become a person who weighs whatever that amount is that you want to weigh and values herself and takes care of herself. That is the identity that you want to take on. And that's where you need to start. Not with changing habits, not with trying to, and I'm all about, I have all sorts of things in place for you to take, but I'm talking about going deep and really looking at who do you want to become? Who do you want to become? And that is a big, hefty, like filled up question. That's a heavy one. So it's important to remember that your identity emerges out of your habits. Your identity does not come from habits that you change. You have to change your identity first. You are not born with preset beliefs. Every belief, including those that you believe about yourself, are learned and conditioned through experience. So I want to make sure that everybody remembers there are two steps, two processes that we need to take a look at. So new identities require new evidence. How you think you are right now is based upon evidence that you have. What has happened in your past? What have you done? So if you have lost and gained, lost and gained, lost and gained, you have identified yourself as a person either who is a failure at losing weight, can't lose weight, can't keep it off. So what I want you to think about right now, and I want those people who are in the group right now, if you are thinking, what is my identity? I want you to think about it right now. What is your identity about yourself when it just comes to you as a person and you as in relationship to your weight? What is your identity when it comes to who you are as a person who is looking to lose weight? What is your identity? So, in order, again, our identities are only there because there's proof that backs it up. And as I said, when we keep doing the same things over and over again, and there's over and over proof, we think, well, that's just the way we are. Not the way we are. We get to change. We get to change every moment of every day and in every moment. So now is the time. Now is the time to make that change. So new identities require new evidence. If you keep casting the same vote you've always cast, you're going to get the same results you've always had. If nothing changes, nothing is going to change. So it's as simple as this. Number one, you have to decide the type of person you want to be. And two, you have to prove it to yourself with small wins. With small wins. Oh, Dina, lots of information here, girl. I'm telling you. Absolutely. So, yes. So, two steps. Two steps. And I am not saying they're simple, but I'm going to give you these two steps. And these two steps are decide the type of person you want to be, and then prove it to yourself with small, tiny wins. That doesn't mean that you prove it all in one day. These are small steps that we take every day, 1% changes that we make, tiny changes, little tiny steps that we move forward. Okay. So I love what Dina just said about, yeah, it's a lot of information here. It is. And yes, you will have to listen to it a few times. So one thing I do want to give you, I want to give you one thing to think about, and this is kind of your little homework assignment, is I want you to think about what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be when it comes to, in this case, because we're talking about weight loss, we're talking about our goals. So what type of person do you want to be? And so I'm going to create a post in the group. I'm going to post it tomorrow. I'm going to put this as a post tomorrow so you can hold out and wait for it. Because I want you to really think about it in relationship to your journey with your weight loss and where you want to get to and where you want to be. Who do you want to be? Not what's your goal, not how much weight you want to lose. Who do you want to be? Who is the person that you want to be? So I'm going to give you an example. So for me, when it comes to when it comes for me and my weight and how I feel about myself and how I feel about myself as an emotional eater, I want to be the kind of person, or I am the kind of person, because we always want to phrase it in that, like it's happening. Like I'm the kind of person who eats to fuel their body, to do all of the amazing activities that I love to do, not only for myself, but to serve my community, to serve you all here, and to help others learn how to do this. I want to be the person who has control, who eats for fuel, who eats because they need to, not because they want to, not because it's going to make them feel better. I want to eat for the right reasons. That's the kind of person I'm becoming. I'm becoming the person who who eats in a way that is for my body and it serves me. And so what I will do every day as I move through my day is I think a person who eats for sustenance, who eats because it's fuel, do they need to do they need to go and get the ice cream in the middle of the afternoon because they don't want to write an email? Are they that person who does that, who does those types of things? So we always want to think, and that kind of gauges us as we're moving through our days. What kind of person do I want to be? If I want to be a person who's healthy and feels really good and takes care of myself, what does that look like? How does that person act? And then do it. Have that be the gauge, the thing that leads you and helps you move in that direction. Okay. So that's your home. I've thrown out a couple of homework assignments, but the homework assignment I really want you to think of is, what is the kind of person, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who just loses weight? Because that's not identity changing. You want to be the person who changes who they are at their core, because then all of your actions will be driven from that place of, this is the kind of person I am. So I'm gonna use another example. I have always been a person ever since I think I was 16 years old. And my mom's on this call and she knows this because she and I used to do this. Um, I was in high school, she was teaching school, and my mom and I would get up every morning, probably at least 4 or 5 days a week. She and I would go running together. It would be pitch black outside. Thank goodness we lived in a safe area. Pitch black outside, like 4:45 in the morning, and we would go out running together. And my dad was always a runner, And so I always thought that'd be kind of cool, but I just didn't have the stamina. And I was like, I really want to become a runner. And so that's what I did. And like, so what does a runner do? Well, a runner gets up early in the morning, and a runner gets up and runs when they can. And so I had a partner, I had my mom who wanted to do it with me, and she and I would get up and we would run together and we would talk and we'd have all this really special time together. And Grandma, I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure you do. And I just like, I hadn't really thought about it in a really long time, but that's for those really special times. But it made me a runner. It made me be a runner. And so from that point on in my life, like that's my identity. I'm a runner. So for me, got my little girl behind me, my little treadmill, and that's just what I do. That's who I am. I'm just a runner. That's what I do. So when I have an injury, it's very challenging. It's very challenging for me when I have an injury to not be able to run because it's who I am. It's my identity. It really is, but it's not even an issue for me to get up and work out because that's who I am, because it's something I've done over and over since I was 16 years old. I have been a runner. So decide, it's never too late. Who do you want to be? What identity do you want to have in order to help you be able to manage your emotional eating and lose the weight that you want and keep it off? That is what I want you to think about. And I'm going to post in the group tomorrow morning and I'm going to ask you to share, who is it that you want to be? What identity do you want? Now, as Dina said, this is deep and heavy stuff. This is no joke. This is deep, deep, deep stuff. And there is only a certain amount. I'm not even sure. I'm going to flip over for just a second. There are 34 of you on this call. There are over 4,000 people in our group. And this is stuff that takes a lot of unpacking. And it takes a lot of, like they say, peeling. I always say Shrek, peeling the onion. It takes a lot of peeling of the onion because there's a lot of levels to this. It is not just like, oh, I think I'm going to decide what I want to do. This is really like we're talking about who you are at your core, and it really is about beliefs. It's about beliefs about yourself, and that is not something that I take lightly. And I know I have had to do that for myself, and that's what I do, and that's what I take people through in the breakthrough membership. I know I don't talk about that very much. I don't talk about the membership and what happens in the membership very often, but this is the kind of stuff that we do. This is the kind of deep stuff, and this is what we're doing for the month of July. We are looking at, who do we want to be? Who do we want to, how do we want to change these things? And so if you're thinking like, yeah, you know what, I've been kind of doing this and just kind of flirting with it and not really sure if like, well, it kind of works, kind of doesn't work, and you're still super focused on the weight, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're not focusing on the right thing. Yes, do people in my group lose weight? 150%. Do people in the breakthrough emotional eating group lose weight? 100%. But what happens in the membership is we are going way deeper. And if you're not ready for that, I respect it and I have no problem with it at all. But I'm speaking to those people who are feeling like, you know what? This might be the thing that I'm missing. This is the piece that I don't get. That I still, that word fat keeps coming back. And I still keep identifying and I still keep hearing my dad, or I keep hearing my mom, or I keep hearing those boys at school when I was in elementary school who told me I was fat or told me there was something wrong with me. If that is what's continuing to play, you need deeper work on that. And that's what we do in the membership. And like I said, I don't talk about it very much, but I really want to share and let you all know that this is what we do. And being a responsible coach, it is not appropriate for me to do it in a group of 4,000 because it's like lighting a firecracker and then walking away and going, "Oh, I hope it doesn't burn anything." That's not responsible. So I offer, and I'm not going to lie. It is a paid membership. I am not going to lie about that. I'm going to be totally honest, but I will tell you that if this is what you need to have happen, if this are the steps you want to take, that's what you need to do. If you're not ready, wholeheartedly, totally okay. 100%. Stay in the big group, and I will continue to provide you with this stuff, and I will continue to recommend books for you to read. But if you want to fast track it and you want to really get to the deep stuff without kind of like fishing around trying to do it yourself, then that's what's available to you. So if this has struck a chord with you, I'm not going to reach out. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to tell you that if this is something that is important and you're feeling like, I'd really like to know more about that, because I want you to know more about it, because I see what happens. I'm seeing the changes that are happening for people in the group. And it's like, it's life changing. And so I would just encourage you, if you just put in the comments, just put the word breakthrough in the comments. I do not reach out to, I don't, unless, you know, I'm always available to people. You have had lots of conversations these last, couple of weeks, but I only want people who are serious, and I only want people who really want to take that deeper level, because I'm seeing what's happening with the people in the membership, and it is like, it's again, it's just phenomenal. So the word breakthrough in the comments, think about it if you need to. Post is always going to be there, but know that this is the kind of stuff. And I got home from being at the beach, and my mom can attest to this. Like, I was like giddy. I was just like, oh my gosh, mom, like, this is the thing. This is the thing that's going to take people to that next level. And I'm excited for the people in the group, because we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be going so deep into this whole idea of finding your identity, and who do you want to be, and how do you want that to look, and what do you want it to be. So again, if you're listening on the podcast, come join the group. And if you are in the group, watch for the post tomorrow. And I want to hear and I want to see, who do you want to become? Who do you want to have what do you want your identity to be? Because that is the first step. It's not looking at your habits. It's not looking at the outcome. It's, who do I want to be? And then I become that person. I'm that person. I believe it to my bones. And then those habits and those processes get put into place. And that's when the weight comes off. And that's when it stays off, because it's not a temporary thing. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to change some habits, and then I'll be good. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. That's unfortunately, that's how the diet industry wants it to work, because then you keep coming back. And I want to end that. I want to end that cycle now. Okay. All right. Boy, this is some deep stuff here. Ooh, actually, it is getting really warm in here. So, all right. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Everybody in the group, thank you so much for being here and participating and being a part of the podcast. I appreciate it so much. For those of you on the podcast, please come and join the group, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. And I will see you all next week. All right. Take care, everybody.